Some forgotten about investments. Yes, you might well have noticed the hair has gone. It's all gone, chopped off. It's been a long time since I've had short hair, so here we go. New hair, new you. Is that the saying? Change is as good as a holiday. I can probably think of a couple more, but let's get off that and get straight on to Pokemon card investing, because that's what this channel is all about. My name's Michael/Pokeoz. If you're new here, welcome aboard. We talk all things Pokemon card investing with a particular lens on the sealed product. And if you've been joining for a long time and watching a lot of videos, I really appreciate your support. Wow. Let's jump straight into it. Forgotten about investments. In this environment, in this market, whatever you want to call it, it's very difficult to find cheap product. But here's 5 forgotten about investments, in my opinion, that seem very cheap in the grand scheme of things. When we're dealing with Evolving Skies booster boxes north of $2,500 US, when we're dealing with Destined Rivals, which is just out of the gate at the prices it's already at, when we're dealing with just massive amounts of supply issues. And I just recently did a video on so many products that are so far above recommended retail price in the same year that they're being launched. Some 500% more than their recommended retail price in the same year they're launched. Like, when we're dealing with all that, it's very hard to find undervalued products. And I'm not saying these 5 products are the best investment and go out and buy them because you're going to make heaps of money. They're probably a little bit cheap because they're a bit forgotten about, and they're probably forgotten about because they're not stellar sets. People remember good Pokemon card sets, and these 5 aren't great Pokemon card sets, but they're not terrible. Let's just jump straight into it. Number 1 on the list is a Battle Styles booster box. Now, I've been saying for a little while that this feels undervalued. I was saying it at $180 that it feels undervalued, at $200 it feels undervalued, and right now its current market price is $288 US. It still feels undervalued. Like, it's at least 2 years older, or near on 2 years older than any Scarlet and Violet booster box to come out, and finding a Scarlet and Violet booster box under Battle Styles price is very difficult. So it somewhat seems undervalued in my opinion. At least, if not undervalued, definitely forgotten about. And look, it doesn't have the best chase cards inside the set. However, there are some nice chase cards. If we jump into the top 4 up on the screen here, of course that Sleeping Tyranitar is a really nice looking Pokemon card. The 2 Urshifu alt arts are also nice looking Pokemon cards. And finally, I've harped on for a long time about how much I like that Empoleon inside Battle Styles. It is such a good looking card. Personally, I would have shifted a couple of things around when it comes to Chilling Reign and Battle Styles. I would have put the Empoleon in Chilling Reign, and I would have put the Blaziken into Battle Styles. But anyway, whatever. What's been done is done. Considering you had like a fighting-based set in Battle Styles, which, you know, Blaziken's a fighting fire type, and then Chilling Reign, which was obviously snow, ice, water-based set, have Empoleon in there. Anyway, whatever. Battle Styles at $288 seems somewhat undervalued. Number 2 on my list, this is an ETB that's under $100. And it doesn't feel like there's many around at the moment. That is Shining Fates. And look, Shining Fates was printed really heavily. It came out with massive demand. In fact, it was probably dearer than this, or near on dearer than this at launch. It was very hard to pre-order Shining Fates at a reasonable price. Given it had the backing of Hidden Fates, it certainly didn't live up to its previous namesake in Hidden Fates. It didn't have the hits inside it. It was really a one-hit wonder with the Charizard, which was just a reprint of a previous Darkness Ablaze and Champion's Path artwork. So it was like, this was the 3rd iteration of the same artwork that we had from Champion's Path and Darkness Ablaze. So it certainly wasn't the most sought after chase card. The shinies inside the set, the baby shinies and the bigger shinies, just of course didn't live up to Hidden Fates expectations, and also don't live up to Paldean Fates, which is the newest Fates set from Scarlet and Violet era. So Shining Fates definitely got left behind along a lot, but $99 US for an Elite Trainer box. Surely this booster box, Elite Trainer box will eventually hit $200 US. Like, whether that's a year's time, 2 years time, 3 years time, at $99 US, so sub $100 US, it feels like somewhat good value. Quick interlude before we jump into the next 3, and that is to say thanks to today's video sponsor, which is the Collector app. You'll see a link in the description down below. You can follow my journey down in the content creators section to see what I'm picking up and what's part of my sealed collection. The big one is there's some massive changes to their app, and they've all been very, very good. One of the good ones is now you can jump into set analytics, which will show you total set value of any given set, which is really, really good for an investor. I talk about how important total set value is to future sealed product. That's why Evolving Skies sealed product is performing so well, because it's got such good hits inside it. And finally, when you jump into the bottom right tab and you see your total set value, or your total collection value, I should say, and you can see how much you've spent. It used to just be paper gains. So you'd see how much you've spent and what your total collection value is. Now when you sell something, you can actually put in there what you've sold it for. So you can see how much money you've actually made. So realized gains, which is an awesome part of the app. There's a cool pro version if you want to sign up to be a pro member. It unlocks all the data that you could possibly need. And again, link in the description, download it. Number 3 on the list. This is the only Scarlet and Violet product I've got in here, but it feels like the forgotten booster box of Scarlet and Violet here, and that's Paradox Rift. Again, I'm not saying this is the best Pokemon card set, but I am saying it's been forgotten about in the midst of all the other good products that have come out. It's $304 US. So it's just a smidgen over $300 US. And look, it would have been best to buy it, when was it? About 14 months ago, when every distributor pretty much had it in stock, and it was a battle to get rid of, and it was going for like, probably $120 US. Of course, that was a better time to buy it. But right now, amidst all these other expensive booster boxes, and if we look at the set list up here and the top hits, that Groudon has absolutely flown up in the last 3 to 6 months. It's nudging $80, is it? Or nudging $90 US? Don't forget there's a Garchomp inside there. There's an SIR Altaria inside there. It's got the Roaring Moon inside there. Like, I'm not saying it's the world's best set, not in any way, shape or form, but it's not a bad Pokemon card set to pick up at $300 when it's surrounded by so much else. Now, here's the controversial one. Number 4 on the list, Pokemon Go Elite Trainer Box, $96 US. Again, it's sub 100. It's cheaper than a Shining Fates Elite Trainer Box. Pokemon Go. And look, this is a bit of a funny one. Is it going to be one of those Elite Trainer boxes that has this sneaky surge in price in another 3 years? A bit like Dragon Majesty did from Sun and Moon era. When it came out, you could barely give them away. And it was the same thing with Pokemon Go. When the Elite Trainer boxes came out, you could barely give them away. They were sitting on shelves. No one wanted to buy them. There was no hits inside the set. But things have actually started to climb up a little bit. There's a massive, I suppose, what's the word I'm looking for? Massive enigma around Mew and Mewtwo at the moment. And, that's driven by things like Destined Rivals. It's driven by things like Paldean Fates. And the fact that this has a Mewtwo card inside it as the main chase, in an alt art looking card, although it's not the nicest looking alt art, but it is an alt art, that has shot up in price lately. And it's that enigma of Mew and Mewtwo at the moment. It's got caught up in that clout, and it's certainly risen in price a fair bit. So look, again, not saying it's the best investment, but you never know. Sometimes it's good to diversify your portfolio. I'm not saying go out and buy 100 Pokemon Go Elite Trainer boxes and spend $10,000 on them. I'm saying buy a couple and see what happens. Buy 10 of them if you want and see what happens. And the final one on my list is Astral Radiance. I give Astral Radiance a lot of love because I think it deserves it. I think it's a better booster box. I think it's a better Pokemon card set than people give it credit for. And the Elite Trainer boxes are pretty much bang on $90 US. They're pretty cheap at the moment. Now, I would much prefer someone to park their money in a booster box. I'm not saying these are fantastic investments, go out and get them, because I will stand by what I said in my most famous video, the one that got over 100,000 views, that regular Elite Trainer boxes aren't going to perform like they did in the past. They're not going to perform like XY Elite Trainer boxes. They were way more scarce back then. They've been printed a lot more heavily now. And the booster box is always going to be the better product for these sets. However, an Astral Radiance Elite Trainer box at like $90 US, when you've got these sort of hits inside it, you've got the beautiful trainer gallery with Starmie and Garchomp inside there, and then of course the main set, you've got hits like the Machamp and the 2 alt art Origin Form Dialga and Palkia cards, which are beautiful cards. There's also a couple of other alt arts inside the main set to chase as well. So I think Astral Radiance is a little bit better than what it's given credit for, and the Elite Trainer box with Darkrai on the front is a good looking Elite Trainer box at $90 US. These are sort of 5 forgotten about sealed products, which in this climate seem to have gone under the radar a little bit. Again, not saying go and spend 20 grand on them, but if you want to pick up a couple and just see how they perform, that's the beauty of Pokemon card investing. You can really diversify and have some fun with it. I'm Michael /Pokeols with short hair now. I'll catch everyone next time. Thanks heaps for tuning in.